be a long video, so buckle up and be ready to take some notes. I moved out for the first time in October about 4 months ago. I was 25, almost 26. Also, there is absolutely no shame in living with your parents until you're far in your 20s, especially in today's economy, climate, all of the above. It's so much more normal now than it was in previous generations, so however long it takes you to move out, that is perfectly okay. I graduated college at 22. When I graduated, I already knew that I was going on semester C, but not for another 18 months just because of COVID. So I didn't want to move out just to be gone for 5 months, especially since I was trying to save as much money as possible to go on semester at C. Then I came home from semester at C, had very little money, and honestly just didn't know what I wanted to do, what path I wanted to take. I was heavily considering van life for a while, which to be clear is always on the table. But a year and a half after coming home from semester at sea, I finally had the money and the ability to move out on my own, and here I am in my new apartment that I've been living in for 4 months now. As you can see, it is not really decorated yet, but don't worry, that is coming very, very soon. So you should probably subscribe so you can see when I finally decorate my apartment. I had so many questions when I was initially trying to move out, and honestly, I still have a lot of questions, and I'm definitely not doing anything perfectly by any means, but I have been very budget and money conscious my entire life, and especially during the moving out process and the first few months of living alone. So I thought I would share my tips and tricks to saving money when you're moving out for the first time. Disclaimer that these are from my own lived experiences, and so what might work for me may not work for you, and vice versa, and that's okay, but these are just what I have learned so far. These are divided into a handful of different categories that I've gone through from the beginning of moving out process to just kind of daily life. So hopefully that makes it easier for you to kind of follow along. Also, just so you know, I have a massive notes document that has all of my ideas and tips and things in here. It's very long. I have a lot to share. The first step to moving out is, of course, finding an apartment. The most important thing you need to do is figure out what your budget is, your monthly budget, what you can actually make in a month, and stick to it. There is nothing more important. Be strict with that. Don't even bother looking at anything that is over your price range. I say as somebody who bought an apartment over my price range. I had extenuating circumstances or qualities that I wanted in an apartment that I found in this one, and I decided it was worth it. I was able to make it work. So far, don't just throw your money around and hope it works. Keep in mind that if you are moving out for the first time, you are also going to have a bunch of other payments that you're not used to having to make, such as probably more gas, utilities, parking, groceries. You're not just looking at the price of rent. You are also looking at the utilities, what it pays to park there, if you have to pay to park. Sometimes utilities are included, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're just a base kind of fee, sometimes they're more individualized. It really depends, and you need to ask so many questions of the apartment building manager and get it in writing. Don't just have them spit out numbers, like email them with a list of questions. It is so important, that way you can actually compare later when you have toured all your apartments and you're like looking at all the numbers of prices and utilities and things like that. You actually have them in front of you and you can actually directly compare the prices of all the different things. A big reason I was able to get this apartment, which in rent is more expensive than other places, is because the utilities overall were a lot cheaper than some of the other places, and the Wi-Fi was included in that utility price. Some other places I toured, yes, they were cheaper actual rent, but adding on the significantly more expensive utilities, and then I would also have to find my own Wi-Fi for my apartment. That made it increase a lot more. And so really this apartment didn't end up being as much more expensive as the other ones, simply because the other costs were significantly reduced. Parking for me ended up being free, which wouldn't have been the case at other apartments. If you think I didn't have a massive notebook with all the different price breakdowns for all the different apartments that I toured, and I toured like 7, you're wrong. I had so much data, so much. Also keep in mind what perks or benefits are included in the apartment building itself, such as a gym. If you are a person that a workout space or gym is important, then keep in mind if you have a gym in your apartment building, you don't need to be spending money on a gym membership. In comparing the prices of different apartment buildings, include an additional gym membership if your apartment building doesn't have a good gym workout space. Some apartment buildings also have nice benefits such as free coffee in the lobby. Mine has like a whole coffee maker machine. If I drank coffee, I would know more about it. Every single time my dad comes over, he gets free coffee. If I was a person that drank coffee, I would never ever buy my own coffee because I would just always go down to the lobby and get it for free. Last in this category, and definitely one of the more important ones, literally just ask for a rent reduction. It doesn't hurt to ask. The worst you'll get is no. Once I confirmed with the apartment manager that I actually was going to want to move in and live in this building, I emailed and was like, hey, this is my first time moving out. I'm a first time renter. Is there any way you can reduce the rent for me? And he said yes. That's it. Just ask for a reduced price in rent. It's that easy. The next category is moving in. When you should move has an impact on your price and budget. Obviously, if you have to move at a certain time for school or job or some other extenuating circumstances, then you have to move at that time. But if you have control over when you can move, especially if you're moving out for the first time, try to plan it around when other people are moving. I'm being so serious. In the last year, so many of my family members moved. My brothers moved, several of my brothers moved, my sister-in-law moved, my uncle and aunt moved, my grandparents moved. And because of that, everybody was getting rid of stuff and exchanging stuff and helping each other out with moving because there was so much of it going on. And because of that, I got many things from many people who just didn't want it anymore, and I got it for free because they're like, well, we need to move and we need to get rid of this. This couch, my sister-in-law. This chair, my sister-in-law. My bed, sister-in-law. Okay, she had a lot of stuff that she didn't want anymore, and she's like, hey, you can have it. Move when other people are moving, especially for furniture that other people don't want anymore. It's also a good idea to move around your birthday or Christmas. My birthday's in October and I moved in October, so that's kind of also close enough to Christmas where things kind of overlapped. Every single one of my birthday gifts from anybody was something I needed for my apartment. As in, I got a Swiffer WetJet as a present because I needed one. I got my TV stand for my grandma because I needed one for my birthday. It's also a good idea to move around Prime Days or when Target has big sales or Black Friday, other things like that where everything will be super reduced in price, and so you can get like a toaster for half the price. Now, for actually moving out, do not be afraid to ask your friends and family to help. They love you, they want to help, especially when you're moving out for the first time. They want to make this as easy for you as possible because moving in general is always hard, especially if you're doing it for the first time. If you truly feel guilty for like not pay them with a pizza. Right? Have dinner after the fact and just get pizza delivered. That's a pretty standard one. Maximize your time with the moving truck. If you are moving close enough to where you can drive there, unload, and return in one day, do it. Load the biggest things into the truck, pack it as full as you can, bring it over to your apartment, unload, just toss everything into your apartment and return it. Don't keep the moving truck any longer than you absolutely have to, because then you have to pay for another day or several. Now, obviously that is less possible if you're moving farther away, if it's like a several day drive, but even then try to figure out the minimal amount of time you have to use the truck, because you might as well not spend extra hours on it if you don't have to. In the same vein, use as many cars as are available to you. Because I only moved 25 minutes away from where my parents live, I think we had, besides the trailer, we didn't have a whole truck, we just had the trailer on the van. So we had the trailer, the van, and I think 2 or 3 other cars, and we made it in one trip. It's just that much easier. The hardest part is getting all the stuff to your apartment. They can all just dump it in your apartment and then you can figure out where it goes. If you have a friend that's like, hey, I'm available for like 2 hours, but that's all the time I really have. Load up their car, get it to your new place, unload, and then they can leave. Furnishing and decorating your apartment. Thrift, bag day sales, Facebook Marketplace. Do not pay full price for a single thing ever. I have so many kitchen items, cooking utensils, spoons, bowls, plates, even my couch side table, which you can kind of see over there, that I got at a bag day sale for probably $5. Also, if you don't know what a bag day sale is, they are where 90% of everything I own comes from, including clothes. They are based out of a church. You don't have to be going to the church. You don't even have to be religious. It does not matter. It is basically a extreme garage sale, and so everybody donates their stuff that they don't want anymore. On the last day of the sale, it's a bag day sale. Everything you can fit in a brown grocery bag for $5 or less. Usually it's $5, sometimes they're less. I've never seen more. Do you know how many books you can fit in a brown grocery bag for $5? Do you know how many t-shirts you can fit in a brown grocery bag for $5? A lot is the answer. Find the bag day sales around you because I promise you they exist. They are wonderful. They are better than thrift stores. They're better than Goodwill. Tell everyone you know that you are moving out and that you're moving out for the first time and that you don't have furniture and you're just trying to get stuff to fill your apartment. You never know who will have something that they want to give to you. I actually even had one of my grandma's friends who doesn't even live in like the state offer to give me a dresser. I didn't need it. I already had that figured out, but my grandma told her that I was moving out and didn't have furniture and she had something that she didn't want anymore and offered it to me. Literally tell everybody you know. This even goes to small stuff like kitchen towels. Ask your parents if they have a couple spare kitchen towels that they don't need anymore. Chances are that they do. If they're anything like my parents, they have like 1,000 kitchen towels that they've somehow acquired over the years. It never hurts to ask. I think that's the theme of this whole video, is it never hurts to ask. So even just getting kitchen towels from your parents that they don't use anymore, that's like another $10 saved. Also, my living room floor rug, which you can't really see. It is a piece of old carpet from when my parents redid the carpet in our house many years ago. My brother used it at his house in college for a few years, and then he moved and doesn't need it anymore, and so now I'm using it as a living room rug, but it's literally a piece of old carpet. And there are just so many things like that where you can figure out how to reuse them in a way that works for you and saves you a lot of money. Oh, also, I didn't even write this down, but I just thought of it. This lamp back here, my brother made it in college. He's industrial design, so he had to like make things for school. He made it and didn't want this one anymore, and so I have it. There are so many things like that, and you just have to find them. But also, don't buy stuff just to fill your space. It is totally okay to live kind of empty, hence my apartment that's not actually decorated yet. There's nothing on the walls, until you figure out what you actually want. In fact, it's better to live empty because you may realize you don't need as much as you maybe thought you did. And that way you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, do I actually like this thing? You can wait until you find something you truly like, whether it be certain kind of chairs, decorations, or whatever, and then purchase it, and don't just buy things to fill your space. In the same vein, you don't need to buy the cute little knickknacks from Target to fill your shelves. Decorations that I have out, or the ones that I'm planning on putting out, are shells that I've gotten at the beach, postcards that I've gotten traveling, or even little artworks that I've made myself. Decoration does not have to be expensive. However, if you do have something like a nicer rug or a piece of wall art that you're really interested in that's more expensive, use your birthday and Christmas gifts. And honestly, they'll probably be glad. They don't have to search for a gift for you. They know exactly what you want. Even my fridge magnets were a Christmas present from my aunt. It doesn't even have to be the big things either. It can be little things. I'm like halfway through right now. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is a lot. This is gonna be a long video. Rip me editing in the future. Next up is utilities. Ask your apartment manager exactly what each appliance is attached to, whether it's gas or electric, water, etc., all those things. Ask for a price breakdown of what each appliance is listed under, so that when your bill comes and you see how much it is, then you know, okay, I used this item more, and so that's why it's that price. That way you can budget better and also figure out the best ways to conserve energy. It's just better to know exactly where all of your expenses are coming from individually. Unplug all of your appliances when you're not using them. Even if it's like the littlest amount of energy and money that you're saving, it's still worth it. All of the little things add up so much. Open your blinds, open your curtains, let the natural light in. Don't turn on lights unless you absolutely have to. I don't ever turn on any lights in my apartment until it's actually dark, and even then I only turn on the light that's above my kitchen island and the lamp here at night, just so that it has better vibes. I honestly just like it not being super bright at night in here, but also it saves money. Heating and air conditioning, be comfortable with uncomfortable temperatures. I did not turn my heating on in this apartment this winter until I couldn't get the temperature to stay above 60 degrees in here. And even right now, it's only at 64 degrees because after some experimentation, I determined that that was the temperature at which I could sleep comfortably at night. Still under, of course, lots of blankets, but that is what I determined was reasonable for me. I just dress warm I wear blankets, I throw on an extra pair of sweatpants over my leggings when I come in, and I wear fuzzy socks, and it's not a big deal. And honestly, I've gotten really used to it being cooler in here, to the point where when I turn it up a little bit, when I have like my best friend staying over, I'm actually warm. Like I'm hot when it's like 67 degrees in here. I'm also naturally cold. So to say I've adjusted to that is a bigger deal than if I was naturally very warm-blooded. Kind of a random thing, but anytime I ever bake something in my oven, after I finish baking it, I leave the oven door open to let the hot air go into my apartment instead of just wherever the hot air goes when the door is closed after you turn the oven off. But even that little bit helps. And the same with the summer. If you can comfortably wear a sweatshirt inside in the summer, the AC is on too much. You can be warmer and be wearing t-shirt and shorts inside your apartment in the summer. You can also open your windows for the natural breeze. It's just always better to think of your heating and air conditioning kind of like not a last resort, but not an automatic first thing to do either. Think of other things to do first. Put on clothes, open your windows, right, whatever, before thinking, oh, I should turn up my AC. This is also extremely niche. And I understand that most people, almost all, aren't able to do this, but because I live in a brand new building, so maybe other people who live in a brand new building too, there are very few people who live in my building right now. And because of that, I have no neighbors. I have to walk down the hallway and around before I get to somebody who lives in my hallway. I literally sometimes just leave the door open and I let the heat from the hallway heat my apartment. Most of the time my heating doesn't turn on when my door is open to the hallway because that's how much heat is coming in from the hallway. Very niche. Only do that if you don't have neighbors. I'm looping parking under the utilities category. I did so much research to figure out how I was going to park and if I had to pay for parking in my area. I was calling the city council, I was calling the city hall, the police, like so many people to figure it out. I looked online on so many different sites for the city. It was a lot of work, I'm gonna be honest. But the result is that I don't pay for parking at all. Even in the winter where it snows, I could have paid extra to park in the apartment lot or even more to park in the apartment underground parking, or I could pay to park in the ramp that's actually right across from my building. But parking on the street is actually free in this city, which I'm so grateful for, and actually a huge reason why I ended up choosing this city in particular. I was looking at a different city and there you have to pay for parking everywhere, and I was like, I cannot. I am not a big city girl. I can't do that. I refuse. I hate the paying for parking thing. The reason I ended up doing so much research was because in the summer it's free, but in the winter to park on the streets, you can park on the streets during the day, but there are signs that say overnight you can't park on the streets, because in case it snows, they need to be able to plow. However, because of all my research, I figured out that basically, unless it actually snows, they don't really care if you park on the street. Technically, it's not allowed, but nobody's gonna do anything about it because they understand that people need to park somewhere. When it does snow, I confirmed that I can park in one of the lots or the ramp overnight if it does snow and they need to plow, because at that point, they don't care about that. They just want to be able to plow the streets. So you see all the loopholes I had to kind of figure out in order to not pay for parking at all. So do your research. If you don't have like a designated parking spot available to you, do your research and you might not have to pay for parking at all. These next things are kind of daily life / miscellaneous things. I truly wrote like a novel. I should check how many words this is. Groceries and meals. Research the cheapest grocery store near you. And not just overall grocery store, but which things are cheaper at which grocery store. Some places it's cheaper to buy milk and eggs, or some places may not have the specific thing you're looking for, so you have to go somewhere else. I float between Aldi, Target, Trader Joe's, and even my local grocery store is absolutely more expensive, but sometimes it has the things that aren't really other places that I want. So definitely keep a running list of where different items are cheapest, because it is worth it in the long run. Paying every week for a $2.50 milk instead of a $3 milk is actually a big difference when you're doing that every single week for 52 weeks in a year. Don't eat out at all. As much as possible, make your food at home. You don't really realize how much eating out costs until you are ruthlessly budgeting every single cent that you spend, as I have now done, and realize that eating out is a lot of money. Not that I was really eating out a lot before, but $50 of groceries lasts so much longer than $50 of restaurant meals. $50 of restaurant meals could be like 2 meals, could be 4 if you're talking like fast food, but either way, that's 4 meals versus 21 meals in a whole week. That's a big difference. However, I do know that some chains like Chick-fil-A have really good reward programs, and every once in a while they'll just like randomly give you a free chicken sandwich. Chipotle, I think, has something like that. Culver's has a program where you can earn up to like a free kids meal, though you still have to like pay for them initially. Just be aware of those reward programs in your area, and sometimes they might be worth it if they randomly give you free stuff like that. Always take advantage of free food when it is available to you. For example, I'm a high school dive coach, and at a lot of meets, especially like bigger end of the season meets, there are coaches' rooms that have a lot of food. At the last one, I literally just brought my backpack into the room and filled up with snacks repeatedly. Now, obviously, I still left food for like everybody else. Like, it's not like I was taking everything. There was honestly a ridiculous amount of food at this specific one. There's no way that all of us were going to be able to finish it even remotely, but it was free. So I just took snacks upon snacks upon snacks and filled my backpack with them. Or sometimes my church has free donuts after mass, and so there's breakfast. I'll go have a free donut. Be aware of opportunities in which there's free food and always take advantage of it. Speaking of free food, I am lucky enough to live within 25 minutes of my parents, and I'm also lucky enough to have an open invitation to eat dinner at their house whenever I want, which I'm super, super grateful for. Where I coach is within about 5 minutes of my parents' house, and I'm usually coaching right before dinner or right after dinner, and sometimes I'm even coaching right before dinner. I have an hour break and then I'm coaching again in the evening, and I don't even have time to go back to my apartment to eat. So oftentimes I will just bop over to my parents' house, have dinner with them, and then go back to coaching. I probably eat dinner at my parents' house several times a week. It kind of fluctuates. If your parents are anything like mine, they love any excuse to see you. And honestly, the free meal is just an additional perk. I love any excuse to get to go over there and hang out and see them. The reason I took so long to move out until I was almost 26 was because I love my parents and I love my family and I love living at home with them, and I'm so grateful for that. And so getting to have dinner with them several times a week is just a huge perk of living so close to them. So eat dinner with your family if you live close by. Go to work at a library instead of a coffee shop. This is probably one of my biggest hacks. People love to go to a coffee shop to get your little coffee and work there for hours. That costs you money. That's eating out. That's like an $8 coffee. Go to the library. Go to your local library. It's honestly probably open a lot more often than you think, with longer hours than you think, and you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy a single thing to go work there for 8 hours if you really want to. Go to your local library. This is kind of random. I'm putting it under groceries and meals because I don't really know where else to put it. Especially when you're living alone, you are not really making enough garbage to reasonably buy a full big kitchen garbage bag. Like, you don't need it. I use the plastic bags that I get from Target or other when I go grocery shopping. Yes, I could bring my reusable bags, but I specifically use them as my trash bags for my bathroom garbage, for the one in my bedroom, and for even my kitchen garbage. I don't make enough trash by myself to qualify using a full-size kitchen garbage bag because it would smell so bad by the time I actually filled up that kitchen garbage bag. So I might as well just use smaller ones anyway. I've lived here for 4 months. I've not had a single regular size kitchen garbage bags. And now for one of my favorite hacks, credit cards. I have a plethora of credit cards. I think I have 5. I don't pay an annual fee on any of them. I purposely don't get credit cards that have an annual fee. I think that's stupid. Honestly. The only sort of exception is my Amazon Prime card, but I was already paying the annual membership for Prime membership. I didn't have to pay a separate card fee, but honestly, that one is so worth it because the amount I save on free shipping and just Amazon products alone. I know a big company, you know, Amazon, Listen, if you're trying to save money, you don't have the money to like buy all the local things. You don't, and that's okay. Get cards that have great point systems, especially cards that have great initial reward gifts. Like if you spend $1,000 on this card in the first 3 months, then you get an additional 20,000 points. Let me just run through the cards I have right now because the points I earn back from everything I spend is huge. I have the Wells Fargo Active Cash Card, which is 2% back on everything. The Wells Fargo Autograph Card, which is 3% back on travel, subscriptions, phone plans, gas, dining, a lot of stuff. The Amex Bread Card, which is kind of specific. I get 3% back on utilities, that's a big one, gas, dining, and groceries. And if I make 20 purchases in one billing cycle, then I get 25% more points from everything that I already earned in that billing cycle. And honestly, the way I hack this system is I just get gas really frequently. Obviously, it's still gas that I would use. I just am getting like $3 of gas at a time, and then I get 25% more points. You gotta figure out how to hack the system. I also have a Target card, which is 5% off of everything at Target. Again, all of those are free annually. There's no annual fee. I also have a Built card, which is also I got through Wells Fargo. Honestly, if you need to recommend it to bank, Wells Fargo, love Wells Fargo. Their cards are incredible. Built is the only card that lets you use a credit card for your rent, but you don't have to pay the extra credit card processing fee on your rent, and then you can earn points from that rent. There's also 3% back on dining, 2% back on travel, and 1% back on everything else. And on the first of the month, all of those points double if you buy something on the first of the month. There's also even a monthly opportunity through the Built app to potentially get your rent paid for the month. There's like a competition, and if you are in the top 100 or something like that, you will get your rent paid for. There's also other incredible deals. They work with other companies. Sometimes you can get free dining things, free workout class. Like there's so many different reward things through Built. I just cannot recommend it enough. I have the link down below to apply for the Built card. Again, it is completely free. There's no annual fee to use this card or keep this card. This is not sponsored. I just genuinely think everybody should have one of these if you are paying rent, because your rent is probably your biggest purchase every single month. And so you should obviously be able to earn points on that if at all possible. Okay, last main tip. Gas and transportation. If you live in an area that has public transportation, you can actually use the public transportation basically anywhere in Europe or big cities like Chicago or New York, anything like that. If you have good public transportation, use it. I promise you it is cheaper, more convenient. You don't have to pay for parking, just use it. I do not live in a place where there is good public transportation that I can really get anywhere that I need to. I am deeply jealous of all of you who do, because I did backpack Europe for a month and I loved using public transportation there. I wish we had it here in any kind of facility like that. Figure out which gas station brand or company near you has the cheapest gas, or which typically has the cheapest gas, and even like the specific gas station. There's one Marathon gas station that I pass by frequently that always has the cheapest gas, like significantly cheaper than anywhere else, even other marathons nearby. So I signed up for their rewards program, free for me to use, and I am always getting at least 10 cents off per gallon, if not more, in addition to the already really low price that specific gas station always has. This is kind of a last but not least, just talk to your apartment manager. I email my apartment manager at least once a week with various questions, especially because it's a new building. So I just have questions about how things are supposed to be run and what I'm paying for and what was this cost for, etc., etc. You never know what you can impact. I actually was able to change when the public lounge spaces were open because I just emailed and asked. It's like, hey, I'm paying for this. Shouldn't I be able to be in this later into the night? And he was like, oh, yeah, that's true, sure. And so now they're open. Just ask. Literally just ask. In summary, it truly takes a village. Even when you're living alone, especially when you're living alone, it takes a village. You cannot be ashamed to ask for help in anything, to ask for help, to receive something, for a gift. You cannot be ashamed to ask. The worst they can say is no. Human beings are not solitary creatures. We thrive in community and being able to share with each other. That is where human beings are at their best, especially when we are going through big changes. People want to help. People want to make your life easier for you, especially in your close family and friends circle. People don't want things to be hard for you. The way to make it easier and cheaper for you is to let them help. Every single small, seemingly minute thing in detail truly adds up, and I cannot stress that enough. If there is anything that I haven't mentioned or something that I haven't answered the question to, or you have an additional question, please just leave it down in the comments below. I always answer every single question and comment that I get on any of my videos, and I will get back to every single one of them. I was doing so much research when I was first moving out, and I had so many questions, and I was looking for videos like this. So I know all this information is super, super helpful, especially if you are stressed about the monetary aspect of moving out alone or moving out on your own. Thank you so much for watching. Part of the reason that I was able to move out on my own is because of you guys, of every single one that watches these videos and who makes this community so welcoming and opening. So I'm extremely grateful to every single one of you who have ever watched any single one of these videos, and I will see you in the next one.